was watching a sitcom earlier, and a CPA, that's a certified public accountant, was hired by rich people for the weekend to be the nanny for the children. When he was on the private helicopter ride to their private island, he turned to the kids and said, "Kids, this will be fun. We'll have so much fun. This will be just like Mary Poppins." And the kids said, "Mary Poppins? Who's Mary Poppins?" And of course, the jokes ensued from there. Black people are under the impression, because they just do not know and don't study history and don't care to study history, that the Democrats are for them and that the Democrats are their party, when nothing could be further from the truth. There is a branch of the Libertarian Party, or not a branch, but there are people in the Libertarian Party who have some very strange ideas what it is to be libertarian, because they interpret it, just like religious people do, to go along with their belief. And what is their belief? Because the Libertarian Party offers freedom for everybody in the Libertarian Party, and that's the chief plank of the Libertarian Party, that they feel that the South will rise again. Pretty funny, huh? You see, when they say this party is about freedom and you have a freedom of choice, and they say, do we have the freedom to discriminate? And the Libertarian Party says, certainly you have a freedom to discriminate. When they say, and then of course they say, yay, hooray, rejoice, the South will rise again. Okay. Progressives say, how can a black person belong to a party that allows racists, that allows people to discriminate against them? But the real issue is not that there's a party that says people have the right to discriminate. The issue is the progressives who question how could black people be a part of such a party. What that means is they feel black people are children, and that the big bad man is a meanie and we can't take care of ourselves. That's far more evil than someone being a racist and bigoted and wanting to discriminate against blacks. The beauty of a party that says people have the freedom to discriminate means that black people have the freedom to discriminate too. If a store owner hates a black person or hates black people, then black people have the complete freedom to not shop at his store. Problem solved. Black people are not children that they need the protection of a great white hope to solve the problem of racism. Because the very founders of the party have constantly said racism and discrimination would have vanished overnight had the federal government not stepped in and allowed the free market to fix it exactly at the time when black people woke up and found they had rights too. Do you understand what I just said? The whole civil rights movement wasn't a movement that black people wanted the federal government to take care of them. That wasn't the movement. The movement was that black people were becoming rich, were becoming middle class, and were becoming into their own and realized, hey, that whole Constitution paper, well, that applies to me too, right? And then people say, well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it applies to you too. And all the amendments, yeah, it applies to you too. So then you had black people stand up and say, you know what? These people are discriminating against us. We're going to boycott their bus lines. The bus boycotts proved beyond the shadow of a doubt that if black people were willing to sacrifice and walk to work just to boycott white discriminatory bus lines, that they could have both dignity and new black-owned bus lines popped up without the need of the government. Imagine that. New black banks popped up out of nowhere. New black dry cleaners, black taxi services, black movie theaters, black doctors, black dentists, black pharmacists. Popped up everywhere. When black people finally woke up and said, we don't have to vote Democrat. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. You didn't know that, huh? When we were given our freedom, not me, but when the slaves were freed in the United States, immediately there was a swell of black people who voted in a huge sum of black senators and black congressmen, black representatives. And immediately the Democrats said, oh, we can't have this. We can't have these filthy black Republicans in our highest government. So they formed the red shirts. They formed the KKK. And they went terrorizing the black people. And they said, you listen here, nigger, you're going to vote Democrat. And the black people said, oh, of course we're not going to vote Democrat. We're going to vote Republican. It was the Republicans that freed us. It's the Republicans who had a party plank that says every man is free. Which is what? What is the party now that says that? The Libertarian Party. There was no assumption that the Republicans loved black people, because no, they didn't. There were speeches made that said, oh, I don't care about black people, but every man should be free. That's what I care about. The principle of freedom is stronger in me than my own discriminatory principle. So I'm not going to vote for black people to remain slaves. I'm not going to vote for black people to be trodden underfoot, but the black person has to raise himself up and he has the freedom to do so. What is that? What party sounds like that today? That's the Libertarian Party. I don't even understand why the libertarians, the black people, aren't busting down the doors of the Libertarian Party. We don't need white people to save us. We don't need the government to save us. We don't need a white police force to murder us in the street and then turn around and have the white National Guard come in and finish the job. Oh, government, come please save us. And the government says, certainly, little black Negro, I'll come save you. Here, open your mouth. Let me stick my gun in it. Here you go. Bam! There goes your brains. Have a nice day. Thanks for calling. Vote Democrat. Huh? That's what you got. There was a big awakening in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s that the Constitution applied to black people too. And at the end of a barrel, there was a great sleeping of black people. You went back into the hole. You went back to sleep. They lulled your women completely to sleep. Oh, here's some welfare. Here's some food stamps. You get sick? Okay, here's some free medical stuff. There you go. Oh, marriage is for white people, young Negro. Marriage is for white people. You don't need to get married. Oh, the white government is going to take care of everything. You don't need to marry that Negro is good for nothing. Just come sign this Medicaid and this welfare and we'll take care of you, you young Negress. You don't need anything from that black hoodlum. The government will take care of everything. Vote Democrat. Oh, he's a black thug. You don't need him. Right? That's what the government says today. Oh, they don't come out and say that. You have to really dig between the lines. You have to read a lot. It's so difficult. You know, the whole reading, you got to read, dig. And there on page 592, paragraph 15, subparagraph 3, it says right that Negroes are good for nothing. Marriage is for good white people. We shouldn't allow Negroes to marry, have a stable community. We don't need that. I'm telling you, black people, you need to wake up. Do you want me to to read to you. What was it? Page 518, paragraph 3, subparagraph 92, or whatever I said. I'll read it to you. I mean, if you're going to listen, are you still lulled to sleep by the welfare and the food stamps and the unemployment checks? Are you lulled to sleep by that? Did you know that the unemployment checks that you're receiving is from when you were working? They took that off the top, right off the top. So when they say you're worth $15 an hour, you're actually worth $20 an hour. But because of the government, you only get $15 an hour. So every red cent that you work, every hour, every second that you work, you're paying the government. And sometimes, if you're fired or something like that, they won't even give you the unemployment. Oh, well, you were fired with cause. You were fired with a reason. You weren't laid off. So all of those hours that you worked and they were taking $5 right off the top every hour. Bam, 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 for years. All those years that you work. And they didn't pay you? That means somebody else gets a part of. No, actually, it doesn't mean somebody else gets a part of it. They get to keep that. Yeah. They pay into unemployment insurance. You pay that. Do you really think your employer pays that? No, he takes that right off the top, directly from you. How about the next time you go get a job from somebody, if you actually need a job, and if you've been listening to all of my other stuff, I told you how to actually start a business on your own. How about you say, tell you what, I'm not going to be an employee of yours. I'm going to be a contractor of yours. I will pay all of my taxes and I'll file a 1099 at the end of the year. How about you just pay me $20 an hour and I will pay all of that stuff myself. I'll work in the field, I'll work from home, whatever, but I'm a contractee. I'm not an employee. How about you do that next time you go for a job? How about you say that instead? Then they're going to pay you probably what you're worth if you negotiate with it. Okay, as a contractee, I want $20 an hour. I want $25 an hour. You don't have to, none of this medical stuff, none of that stuff. You don't have to pay me any of that stuff. Because I'm a contractee. I'm not your employee. I want $30 an hour, right? Because on the employer side, they have to pay all these taxes, unemployment insurance and other things. And it will get to you. You're almost making 60% of what you would have been making. I mean, let's just call it 50%. So go ahead and ask for 50% more or double what you're making as an employee. That's how you negotiate into a larger salary. You have the freedom to be under a contract. You have the freedom to negotiate. You don't need unemployment insurance taken off for your benefit that you never get to see. You could work for 30 years and it's okay. You get unemployment for a year. After that, you got to go back to work. But I worked for 30 years, and no vacations, nothing. Every hour on the hour you took out unemployment. Yeah, we know, but yeah, you only get 1 year of benefits. But I paid in like $100,000 into this Oh yeah. It doesn't work like that. It's not, you don't have an account. You just pay the flat fee. If it comes out to $100,000, oh well, but you only get a 1 year benefit of that. I want to wake black people back up. And I want you to join the Libertarian Party. The party that says you have the freedom. Yes, we're going to take away all the welfare, all the food stamps, all the Medicaid. But you know, you're going to make $30 an hour. And your employer doesn't have to pay all that stuff. You see how that works? They don't have to pay all that stuff. You pay your own stuff. Whatever it is, you pay your own stuff. And we're going to reduce taxes anyway. So nobody's really going to, you know, when an employer or a company has to pay all of this stuff to the government, that means they reduce everything else in outlay. So labor gets reduced first for anything that's directly affecting labor. If the cost of doing business goes up, they pass that along to the consumer, whoever is buying their products. But if we take away all that stuff, you don't need welfare. And then if we say, hey, there's no minimum wage, no such thing as minimum wage, that means how many people do you think would be unemployed then? Whoa, what? You don't understand that one? If we took minimum wage away, how many Negroes do you know? And you already know that black people are double, triple, and in some places quadruply unemployed versus white people. White people are fully employed now. They are down to 4%, if not 3%. That's considered fully employed by everybody's standards. The 3% means those are the people who are in transition, coming from being unemployed to going to get another job. So there's a 3% turnover that's constant, and that's constantly happens, and that's just a part of economics. You have 3% of the population in the white population that is constantly getting employed or getting unemployed. That's just constantly in flux. And 3%, there's no such thing as 0% unemployment, because literally people get fired every day, right? People quit every day. So you can't have 0% unemployment. People move, people change, people move to another state. They move out the country. They take a leave of absence to take care of their dying mother, dying father. 3% is considered fully employed. Black people are at 11, 15, and by some calculations, 20% unemployment. Yes, everybody, black people are at 20%, if not some people's calculations, 26% unemployment right now. Now I ask you, if there was no such thing as minimum wage, if there was no such thing, let me repeat that. If there was no such thing as minimum wage, there was not a number that you couldn't walk in to a business and say, I will work for this. How many black people do you think would remain unemployed? Let me go through the scenario for you. Black teenagers are at 50 to 60% unemployed. That's from 16 all the way up until 20, I believe. That's what they're calculating, quote unquote, teenagers as, right? How many of those kids do you think who wants an iPod or a belt or whatever, teeny shoes, the latest video game or the PS4 or the Xbox One? How many of those kids do you think who want that stuff wouldn't go, you know what I could do? I have to feed myself. I have to put a little bit up for rent at home to keep staying there. I could make about, let's see here, $200 a week. No, I'm sorry, $200 every 2 weeks. And I could take care of all of my bills and have money left over that I could save to buy my Xbox One, all the shoes I want, how many kids do you think would do that calculation right off the top of their heads? Kids aren't as stupid as we think, How many of those kids do you think wouldn't do that calculation right and go into the store and say, hey, Charlie, I'll work for $4 an hour, 20 hours a week. And the owner would say, yes. Okay, let's step it up a notch. Let's go from 20 to 30. They would say the same exact thing. I need to, let's see here. Hey, Charlie, I'll work for you. 35 hours a week, $6 an hour. But you're exploiting no, he's done the calculation. He knows exactly how much, what he's willing, what the minimum is he's willing to negotiate for. And how many employers wouldn't say, yes, come on in? What about the kid that says, hey, you know what? I will sweep the floor for $3 an hour and I'll work for 4 hours every day. So I'll come at the busy time and I'll sweep the floor, keep the store clean during your rush hour. When your rush hour is over, you know, I'll clean it up and then leave. And I'll do that for $3 an hour. That's what no minimum wage looks like. There would not be a 60 unemployment rate amongst young adults in the black population. There would be no unemployment up to 20% in the regular black population. They would negotiate their wages. But that's using the employee. No, they've done their calculation. And you know what happens when that goes on? You know what, Jamal? We have really seen that you're really great with customers. I want to give you $1 raise. Okay. Boss from another store walks in. You know, that Jamal guy, he's really on the ball. Hey, Jamal, how much are you making? Oh, I'm making $6 an hour. Come work for me. $7 an hour. You got it. I'll show up next. Oh no, Jamal, you can't leave us. I will pay you $8 an hour. Okay. That's how that works. And if Jamal is really smart, he'll go, hi, how are you doing? My name's Jamal. I'm here to be hired. I want $8 an hour. Oh, I don't pay anybody $8 an hour. Okay, that's fine. Do you have anybody with this resume, with this work or job experience, and who talks like me? No? Okay, I'll just leave this resume here with my little photo so you remember who I was. Okay, see you. And he does that to 100 businesses. He's going to get his $8 an hour. He'll get his $9 an hour, $10 an hour, $12 an hour. But because he's a good employee, that's how that works. We black people don't need a great white hope to come and save us. And a party like the Libertarian Party that says black people are free to discriminate just as much as the white people are able to discriminate. They're able to not shop, able and free to not shop at places that say the South will rise again and we will secede from the, no, yes, there are people out there like that. I know you want to bury your head in the sand. This is 2014. There's no white people like that out there. Oh yes, there are. The South will rise again and we will secede from the Union and we will discriminate against black people. Yeah. They're out there. They have organizations. They're out there. Go Google it. Black people are able to discriminate against those people too. The whole problem is in this system where we're giving bailouts to those very same people and they stay in business, that means the black population has no choice but to buy from Reebok, who donates to apartheid, who donates to the KKK, who donates to the neo-Nazis. They stay in business. It doesn't matter if black people never shop there. They'll stay in business because, oh, we need a bailout. We hire over 1,000 people in the small town of Podunk. Oh, okay, sure. We'll bail you out. Yes, and tell the black people that they need to continue shopping at our store. Not that racists sound like that, but you know. But if you keep bailing out the racists and you have a minimum wage, this is what the minimum wage does. You have to pay somebody $10 an hour at a minimum. That means there will be no black people working at my store. Why would I want to pay some black person $10 an hour when I can hire just a fine and exceptional white person for $10 an hour? But if there's no minimum wage and the going rate is $10 an hour, and the black person comes up to the store and says, hey, I hear the going rate is $10 an hour. I'll work for you for $9 an hour. Oh, no, I couldn't have black people working in my store. So he goes over to the hippie next door and he says, I hear the going rate is $10 an hour. I'll work for you for $9 an hour. Look, come right in. Get your shirt and tie. Come right behind the counter. Here's how it goes. You're hired. So now hippie guy has an entire staff of black people working for him for $1 less per person. The racist guy has to spend an extra $1 to run his business. The racist guy goes out of business because now the hippie guy can offer his burritos for 50 cents. Who wouldn't go buy burritos for 50 cents? I want a burrito right about now too for 50 cents. I could really handle that. I'd buy 20. But that's a reality. If he had 50 black people working for him that he pays on a whole $1 less than the guy next to him is going to go out of business. It's a done deal. Of course, if he doesn't get a bailout. But wait, more black people are going to say, I'll work for you for $8 an hour. There you go. He pays $2 less than the racist next door. He can now offer burritos for 25 cents. Can you imagine buying a burrito today, handmade with organic friggin' farm cultured stuff, non-GMO, for 25 cents? That's the minimum wage. That's what the minimum wage does. So the hippie guy and the black people suffer because now the hippie guy has to pay exactly what the racist guy does for labor. And the black people have to find somebody who isn't a racist, who is willing to hire them for the going rate, $10 an hour, right? Even the hippie guy goes, you know what? My clientele is all white. They want to see white people working here. And the going rate is $10 an hour. And by law, I cannot pay any less than $10 an hour. But you know what? If you go and got that minimum wage law repealed and I could pay you $9 an hour or even $8 an hour, I'd hire all 50 of you. All 50 black people working up in here. And the clientele wouldn't care because I could sell them a burrito for 25 cents at that point. And they wouldn't care what color you are. Because next door, the burritos cost $1 and they're the same exact burrito. In fact, they're worse. They're GMO burritos. Libertarian Party. That's how it works. And we don't need great white hopes coming and saving us. We don't need welfare. We don't need food stamps. We don't need Medicaid. And being married is not a white thing. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.